What I'm about to share with you is my own personal experience. What can I say? It's not over yet. I'll tell you anyway. I am a 23-year-old man, a caregiver living at home. My family consists of my father, 52, mother, 44, and younger brother, 18. After dinner the day, my father, mother, and I were sitting in the living room watching TV. Where will my brother live? And what do you need to live alone? And what do you need to live alone? My brother was preparing for a job in my room, the same room as me. Suddenly, I heard a noise on the TV. It subsided immediately, so I continued watching TV without paying attention to it. I was going on with my story, and I was going on with my story, but when I looked at my parents, I noticed something strange. My parents were looking at the TV with their mouths half open and their eyes wide open as if they were startled by something. I thought to myself, What did you do? I asked, upset at the look on my parents' faces, which I had never seen before. But my parents ignored me and continued watching TV. Suddenly, only their wide-open eyes looked at me. I looked at them and said, "What?" The next moment, as if nothing had happened before. "Mom, yeah, but my brother cooks for himself." My father said, "It's okay, isn't it?" "I'm not okay with it. I was the one who was talking to him." I said, "No. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was that? What was that?" Neither of my parents usually joke around, and they have always been very strict. So it was hard to believe that they would do something like that even as a joke. "Mom, what was that?" My father. Both of them looked at each other with a scowling look on their faces. Knowing my parents' personalities, I thought to myself, I knew that it was not a reaction to fool anyone, but a genuine reaction, and at the same time I felt a sense of discomfort. "What did you just say?" My parents don't remember that I was making a face like that. "No. Anything." I clammed up and looked down. My mother said, "By the way, when are you going to die?" Her. My father said, "Well, we should talk about that too. When are you going to do it? Suicide? Accident?" Her. I didn't understand what he meant. I was quite bewildered by the sudden barrage of things I was hearing. Oh. What? I died? Her. What about? And I was pretty sloppy. But my parents proceeded as if it were a matter of course. My father said, "We've been waiting until now, too. It's about time." "Mom, I'll help you." "It's okay. I'll help you." My parents are still talking without hesitation. They talk about how hanging is dirty, how sleeping pills are good, how jumping off a building doesn't hurt as long as you pass out in the middle of the jump, and so on. As if they had seen it all before. At each end of the conversation, I could hear them laughing, haha, at what was so funny. "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" I yelled at my parents, feeling uneasy and scared because they were obviously different from usual. My parents turned their heads toward me. "What?" My parents' eyes turned the other way. "Father, die, 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 die." "Mother, die, 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 die." Wait. Her eyes were facing the opposite way, but her face was firmly turned toward herself as he repeatedly called out death, as if he were a broken doll. I couldn't take it anymore and ran into the room where my brother was. Bang. My brother said, "Oh my God. You startled me." "What?" My brother. The younger brother was sitting at his desk writing papers. Oh, you know what? My mom and dad. They were looking at me the other way and telling me to die. Before that, there was noise on the TV. My brother said, "No, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're saying." I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't understand what was happening to me right now. He said, "You know that's why." I was at a loss and held my head in my hands. And, anyway, my dad and mom are acting weird. My brother's mouth was half open and his eyes were wide. Oh, my parents went crazy and even my brother. I ran to the front door to see my brother's eyes slowly turning the other way. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Before I walked out the front door, I caught a glimpse of the living room. My parents were standing there, facing me. I knew their eyes were looking the opposite way. I ran as fast as I could to where there were more people passing by. I went to the house of a senior who lived alone and told him about the situation on his cell phone. The senior was a person who could see spirits and ghosts, and he seriously listened to my story, which would normally be incomprehensible to me. The senior said, "Well, okay, I'll go to a temple I know tomorrow and have them do something about it. First of all, take the rest of the day off. You look terrible." I stayed at my senior's house the day. Needless to say, I didn't sleep a wink. The next day, my senior worked the night shift and I had the day off. At 6 a.m., I was taken to a temple about 30 minutes by car from my senior's house and told the head priest about the previous night. The head priest said, "I understand. Must have been a difficult time for you. I'm exhausted." Seeing my face, the abbot said to me with concern. After that, he told me that I should not leave things as they were, and the senior, the abbot, and myself decided to go back to the house. Inside the house was hell. My father was walking in the living room and hallway with blood dripping from both arms and legs. In the corner of the living room, there were several kitchen knives with blood on them discarded. 2 more round trips and I'll have a blood vessel in my right leg. 3 more round trips, and I'll have the vein in my second arm. He was mumbling to himself. My mother was in the bathroom. She was repeatedly sticking her head in and out of the bathtub, which was filled to the brim with water, pushing her head with her hand. Near death. Near death. Near death. The younger brother was writing at his desk. Only, he had a cutter in his hand and a mirror on the desk. XX city, XX town. He had carved his home address on his body. I cried in horror. After that, all 3 of us managed to get help from the head priest and other temple staff we had called for support. I'm fine now. However, I still have scars on my brother and father's bodies, and I get pretty depressed when I go down the hot springs and such. Sorry for the rambling and long-windedness. Now, I will write a little about it as an extra story. After what happened, I asked the priest about it. The reason why my family became like that was because of my ancestors. In historical dramas, there is a line that goes, "I'll curse you until the end of your life," right? It was a realistic version of that. And the way he cursed them was also very cruel. I heard that the curse was not just to kill, but to take over after the family was born, and slowly, over time, drive the family away. But this time, it wasn't so easy for him to curse me. I had been a high priest in my previous life, and I had been inaccessible to him since I was born. That night, he became numb and used his family to pressure me to die. I ran away, and he said, I don't have a choice, so I have to die. But I ran away, and he said, I have no choice but to leave the rest of my family alone. But the curse is so strong that the priest couldn't take it away completely, and the rest of my family always has a talisman with them. The curse still continues.